What's up guys, in this video you're going to be learning how to approach poker like an athlete. Now if today's video resonates with you and you want to take the next steps to becoming a poker athlete, make sure you stick around to the very end of this video as I have a special announcement to make on an opportunity that's becoming available for a select few of you. With that being said, let's dive into today's video. So let's start by exploring why you would even want to approach poker like an athlete. Is it worth the effort? Do we need to be this serious? Or can we just go about our normal business and be a standard poker player? Now myself, I've always been quite obsessed with sports. I did middle distance running competitively from 11 through till 23, which is quite a large part of my life. I did sports science at university to learn more about sports performance and how to optimize, and I've always been a very keen sports enthusiast. And for myself, I've always thought of poker as a sport. All right, it's not classified as a sport under strict guidelines, but as far as I'm concerned, poker is very much a sport. All right, and in order to have a good, successful career, you need to approach poker the same way an athlete approaches his sport. All right, so athletes approach their sport by leveling up skills, by training specific skills that gets them to their performance goals. All right, whether you're Usain Bolt trying to run 100 meters in a world record time, or you're Roger Federer trying to win Wimbledon, they're fine-tuning specific skills that are going to get them to a specific outcome. They're also optimizing all variables for their mind and their bodies so they can show up on a performance day and give their best performance. Now, you, as a poker player, though you might not classify yourself as an athlete, poker is very much your sport, especially if you're a full-time player watching this. And you need to start thinking, okay, what skills do I need to start training? And how can I approach poker like an athlete? Now, the first thing that the athlete does is they have certain skills that they're working towards, and they specify the exact skills that matter. Now, having worked with over 400 poker players, I've lost count of exactly the number at this stage, I've realized that there's only a certain number of skills that you need to work on, and there are 8 skills that I've developed or come to conclusion of for your mind and body in order to perform at an elite level. All right, so 8 skills. That's it. Now that's the first step. You identify the skills. Now you've got to start thinking, okay, how do I start working on these skills? The biggest obstacle for most players is that they get given very generic advice. All right, you get told to work on certain attributes, but they don't resonate with where you are at the certain time. All right, so for example, I could watch Roger Federer play tennis or Nadal, and I could start copying what they do. I'm like, oh my god, these are doing all these cool stuff, and I can start doing that. Will that make me a good tennis player? Most likely not. I'm most likely better off going back to the beginner stage, learning the fundamentals, and working my way up. Same in poker. Most times we try to replicate what good players are doing, or we take advice of someone who's at a high level, and we think that's going to work really well for us. And sometimes it's good advice, other times it's just nice words but not useful. So we need to start systemizing our approach to getting better at poker and also becoming the kind of player we're capable of being. Alright, so I'm going to walk you through a 4-part framework which I coach my poker athletes through, and hopefully this will resonate with you guys and you can see how to approach poker like an athlete and why it's so beneficial. Alright, so I teach poker players 8 skills. 8 skills for their mind and body. Alright, so let's take a skill such as focus. Alright, as an example. Now, when you've got a skill, you need to start developing that skill. Alright, so first of all, these 8 skills, you need to make sure that they're correlated with the outcome you want. Alright, so as far as I'm concerned, I coach poker players all day, every day, and the goal is to be the best poker player you can be. To play elite level poker consistently, whatever elite level poker means to you. So each of those skills needs to be developing attributes that allow you to do that. Alright, so there's 8 skills that need to do that. Alright, now today we're going to walk through the 4 parts that allow you to develop a skill to a high level. Alright, so like I said, most times we get given advice which doesn't resonate with our current skill level. But the problem is, when it comes to mindset and performance, in particular for poker players, they've no clue where they're currently at. Alright, if I asked you, how good is your focus? You'd probably say, well, it's okay sometimes, and I get distracted sometimes, and could be better, but it's okay. Great, it's a good big answer, and we've got nothing to work with. We don't really know exactly what you need to do to get better. Alright, so the first thing we need to do with any skill, whatever the skill, we need to take an assessment. Alright, so when I work with my poker athletes, we do 1 skill per week, and at the start of the week, we do an assessment. Alright, we score them from 0 to 50 for each skill. Alright, so assessment's the first. Now, sports players and sports teams have done this for decades. Every off-season, generally, when they finish a performance period, they'll assess their players on fitness attributes, on skill attributes, and they'll give them a score, a rating of how they're currently doing and where they need to improve. So when you do this, when you take an assessment, you get to know your strengths and your weaknesses. All right, this is very, very important, because if you're already developed an attribute, if you've developed a skill, let's say focus is already at an elite level, you don't want to be training your focus skill like a beginner. All right, so if I give you advice to train your focus and you're already very good at it, but I give you a beginner level, it's not going to do anything for you. If anything, it's going to take you backwards. So we need to know assessment, where we're at. All right, so when I work players for each skill, they take a pre-coaching assessment, and it gives them a score out of 50 of where they're currently at for that skill. All right, so that's the baseline of what we're starting with. All right, and all athletes, all performers do this on a regular basis. Then the next thing we need to do is we need to develop that skill through coaching. All right, so I coach players generally 2 to 3 hours of coaching where they're learning how to develop this skill to a high level. Let's say it's focus, they learn how to basically understand the focus muscle and the skill set and how to start developing it. All right, so the coaching is learning how to develop that skill. All right, so we have coaching. And this is ongoing. We need ongoing coaching to develop skills, but we also need to develop a knowledge base on how to develop that skill. If I tell you to improve your focus, but I don't tell you how, you don't have the knowledge to improve it with like certain skills and techniques, you're not going to get better, right? So we need to go through a certain coaching protocol in order to develop that skill, in order to learn how to develop it, all right? Then, through the coaching process, we generally acquire a lot of knowledge, a lot of useful knowledge, which is great. However, knowledge is only 25%, maybe less than that of the whole solution. We then need to put that coaching, that new knowledge, into action. We need to train. We need to train that skill. All right. If you look at all sports stars throughout the year, they're following various trainer programs, and their trainer programs are directed at improving certain skills. Certain times of the year, they'll be improving their endurance and doing lots of lots of cardio and long mileage stuff. Other times they'll be improving their speed and their mobility. Other times they'll be improving their power and their dynamic skills. Other times they'll be improving their very specific sports skills, whether it's tennis, whether it's football. They'll be working on very fine-tuned specific skills. But either way, they're following training programs specifically aimed to improve their skills. All right, so once we've got the coaching, we've got the knowledge, we then need to start putting that knowledge into action with training programs. All right. Now, this is where the interesting part happens, or the good part happens. Very often, when we're trying to follow training programs, we get given very generic, one-size-fits-all programs. All right, it's like, okay, if you want to improve this skill, here you go. Good luck. All right, so to put it in context, it's like myself, I've just started playing tennis in the last year or so. I'm very much a beginner. And if I started watching what elite level players do for tennis, I'm not going to develop, all right, because I need to have a beginner level program that teaches me fundamentals, how to hold the racket, how to hit a backhand, how to move my feet, the basic stuff. I need a basic program. But if no one assesses me, if I don't take a pre-assessment, I'm going to jump into the high level and I'm going to fail. I'm going to do really badly trying to develop that attribute. All right. Another example, intermediate. I'm currently probably classed as intermediate for strength training in the gym. And over the last year or so, I've probably advanced from a beginner level, and I'm intermediate, but not quite an elite. So when I'm following trainer programs, if I follow a trainer program in the gym, which is aimed at elite athletes or elite performers, it's way too much for me. The volume's way too high, I'll get injured, or I just won't be able to keep up. It's just way too much. On the flip side, if I do a beginner style program, it's too basic. My body's already adapted to that stimulus and I don't get any benefits. So I need to hit the very sweet spot. I need intermediate level programs that hit me where I'm at. Alright, so what's this got to do with you as a poker player? The skills. So when you take a pre-assessment, you get given a beginner, intermediate, or elite score. You then gain the knowledge on how to develop that skill, which is great. You've got all this awareness that you built. But now, you need to put it into action and start training it. So my Poker Athlete program, every skill has a beginner program, an intermediate program, and an elite program. So you can start developing that skill based on where you're at. And the goal is to go from a beginner to an intermediate, and then an intermediate to an elite with each skill. And as you may have guessed, that takes time. It takes progression. It takes doing the right attributes, building the right subset of skills, and train it in a very linear order. So you need to first off develop the beginner skills, then do the intermediate, then the elite. You have to do in that order. If you jump any of those stages, you will not progress. You'll burn out and you won't progress. All right. So each of my skills I train the pro athletes, they choose based on their pre-assessment what level program they're going to do. So if you're really good at a skill, you jump straight in at elite. Don't waste your time building beginner skills. You've already got them. Go straight in elite. However, if you're struggling with a skill, you've not developed it at all, go straight to beginner. All right, straight to beginner level and work your way through, and don't jump phases. All right, so very, very important. This is super overlooked, and this is like a very basic kind of approach from sports, but they always train skills relative to their current level. All right, they don't jump in too far above, and they're patient, developing the skills through a process. All right, then once you've done a training program, so let's say you've done a beginner program at a skill, then what happens? You now need to reassess, have you improved? Have you got better at that skill? And this is one of the things that's very much missing in mindset performance coaching. Players try to work on getting better, but after a period of time, they can't see, have I improved or not? If I ask you over 3 months, has your focus improved? You'll look back and you'll go, maybe, but have you got any metrics? Have you got any way of quantifying that? However, if you did an assessment, which gives you a score, say 25 out of 50, you did some coaching and learned how to, the knowledge to develop that skill, you took a beginner level program for that skill, and then you reassessed yourself after, and you scored 40 out of 50 instead of 25, we can pretty much say you've improved that skill quite a lot, right? So we need to then do another assessment at the end of that. Now the second assessment functions in 2 ways. First of all, it lets you know, have you improved from the current training you've done? Is it worth the effort? Has it been valuable for you? Are you improving your performance, which is going to correlate to you playing better poker, or not? It's a yes/no game. Has your score improved? Yes or not? Also, it's going to give you information on where you need to further improve. All right, so if you go from 25 out of 50 to 50 out of 50, boom, job done. You're now at elite level, you're good. However, if you only improve a small amount, you might have still improved, but it's still a weakness. You might have went from 25 to 28, and it's still a weakness. So you need to know where am I at now after I've done the training, and where can I progress? And that's it. And if you have a system that is constantly doing that, you always know where you stand for your skills, what level you're at, beginner, intermediate, elite. You always know the next training program you need to do, and you can always be progressing your skills. So for the last 9 months, I redesigned my whole coaching philosophy around becoming a poker athlete. And I'm currently going to be taking on a new group of 10 players where over the course of 8 weeks, I coach you guys through 1 skill per week, and we level them up through this process. Right? We go through this process for each of the 8 skills. There's live coaching every Monday where I teach you guys the main concepts and also answer any questions that are coming up throughout the coaching. And yeah, we basically go through it as a group and we level up our skills and become poker athletes over the course of 8 weeks. Once the 8 weeks are over, we then go into ongoing training and ongoing weekly coaching where we're constantly fine-tuning these skills. One of my beliefs is that training never stops. We're always developing skills, and this 8-week program is going to get you to the next level, but I want you to keep going after that. All right, I don't want it to be a program that you guys get involved in and then stop. I want ongoing training. So I built it to have an ongoing, yearly and beyond training protocol that you guys can follow. Now, if you're interested in potentially becoming one of my next poker athletes, all you need to do is click on the link in the description. That will put you through to a short application form. It'll take you 2 to 5 minutes to fill that in, and then I'll be reaching out to the suitable applicants with the next steps. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it's inspired you to start thinking about your poker career more like an athlete, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.